Hey everyone, Stephen Morales here, and today I'm doing a quick video on just supplementation pre and post workout products you should be looking for, kind of the pitfalls of supplementation. I'm only going to be really covering the pre and post workout and talking about meals as well that you can and should be doing and kind of the guidelines for that. We did a podcast on Local A-List covering some of these things also, so you could also look for that as well. I'll put that in the description below, so if you're following us on Local A-List, you can listen to that. It's like 25-30 minutes, like I said, covering some of these same things. The big thing with the supplement industry is proprietary blends. So I mean, rule number one is you want to make sure that you avoid anything that has a proprietary blend. Now the reason for that is because they claim that it's their intellectual property, so they want to protect it, so there's no transparency. So what you'll see with that is it'll have a proprietary blend, whatever their brand name is, and then it'll have like 11,000 milligrams, and then it'll just have a laundry list of ingredients. You don't really know necessarily what's what, and what they'll do is it's called dusting. They'll put a small amount of those ingredients in there, and then they'll actually just put fillers in. So what you're really buying is junk. You're paying $60 for what you think is a prime supplement, and it's not. It's really just garbage. But they're putting, like I said, these very, very small amounts in there so that they can still claim that they're utilizing this stuff. Sometimes they don't even put it in at all. FDA doesn't regulate this. That's another big thing. FDA isn't regulating the supplement industry. There was a senator from Utah that actually lobbied to get this so that most of the supplements are made in Utah now. At least they were back in the 80s and 90s, but he made it so that the FDA, they basically passed a law and said, let's not treat supplements like food. Let's not have the FDA or the USDA regulate this. So that's where you have to be kind of wary of the supplement industry, because a lot of times they might not be putting the stuff that they claim is in there at all. So I do like products that have some type of transparency, and you're actually seeing the industry go that way now, where companies like my favorite one, the one that I've been taking a lot lately, is Gym, which is from Jim Stoppani. I have 2 video reviews of that. I actually have the pre and post workout video review if you want more information on these products. But I mean, he has his PhD in, I believe, sports medicine, and he's done clinical research, and all of this is substantiated by the research that he's done. He's transparent with that. He puts all that research on his website, so if you need links to it, where a lot of people claim that and then they don't even back it up. So this is the post gym. This is one that I love. Like I said, pre and post gym is a good one. Regen is another just good branched chain amino acid supplement that I take. It's the same thing. They tell you exactly what's in it, so there's transparency there. I'm going to cover a couple of things that I like to take also here in a minute. If you do have the option to eat a meal though, I mean, if you're doing post-workout nutrition and you actually are going to have a meal, I mean, that's going to be a great option. Usually with that, let's make sure that there's a protein source, a little bit of carbohydrates, because we need an insulin spike. So you've broken down muscle, okay, and you're going to need that insulin spike so that we can drive that protein into the muscle, okay. Insulin is the most anabolic or muscle-building hormone that you have. So with that insulin spike, we can actually shuttle the nutrients into the muscle and they can utilize them. Okay, so a little bit of simple sugars with that, whatever that may be, whether that's like half a banana, a little bit of jelly, anything that you can kind of get that you're going to put in there, but we don't want a lot. We don't want so much that basically if you do eat too much, the excess is going to go to fat, and we don't want that. So we just need enough to cause that insulin spike, deliver the protein, and the good fats. That's the other thing. We need some good fats. We don't need a ton, but you do need some good fats. And then your greens, lots of greens, so you can get all those nutrients delivered into the muscle as well. So if you're going to do the whole meal, that's kind of my guideline for that. That's usually first option. Not everybody has that choice though, so a lot of times they're reaching for a protein shake or something like that. Typically for myself, post gym is first. Okay, this has my branched chain amino acids, which I'll cover here in a second, and then it has glutamine in it, has my creatine in it, betaine, beta-alanine, all these other nutrients that my body needs, and it just helps with recovery, because that's the big reason why you're doing post-workout nutrition, is that you're trying to increase lean muscle mass, right? We want to speed up the recovery process. so that you can actually gain more muscle and lose fat, right? Pre-workout, pre-gym is good. Other than that, I might just do like black coffee if it's more like energy level or something like that. I usually make sure if it's going to be a long-winded workout that a couple hours before I'm going to have complex carbohydrates. I'm not on a ketogenic diet, so this is more my rule of thumb. I'm going to need those carbohydrates because my body's going to store them as what's called glycogen, which is just stored carbohydrates, so I can utilize that during the workout. So some type of complex carbohydrate, even if it just means reaching for a green Granny Smith apple, right? Eating that, something like that. So typically that'll be what I'll do pre-workout. Depends on like I said, the person, what their goal is. Some people are doing a ketogenic diet or the Atkins type diet where they're not having carbohydrates necessarily at all. They can do their coffee, like I said, black. You don't need to add a whole bunch of other stuff in it, with some grass-fed butter, so you're getting the good fat out of that. Or a supplement, which most of the supplements are going to be garbage just because it's going to have some type of proprietary blend. I went with the pre-gym just because, like I said, he's actually transparent with what he's putting in the product. It has 300 milligrams of caffeine, so if you are caffeine sensitive, that might not be a good option for you. But there's some other products out there that are slowly moving towards that model where they show you exactly what's in it, just because people want that. They're requiring that's the products that they want. So so some type of caffeine if you need it. I always tell people though, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 at the most is what you're going to do on, and then you need at least a month off of a supplement. So you're not going to take these things indefinitely. Your body's going to adapt to them, and you're not going to really feel the effects anymore. You never do it, and that accounts for anything that you're going to be doing, right? If I'm doing high amounts of vitamin D or something like that, like do it for a while and then take a rest. Usually 2 to 4 weeks is what we're going to want to do, right? Your body's going to adapt to it, or you just need to give your body a rest from that thing, okay? Big thing though is branched chain amino acids. I've actually done a video review on the Regen right here, okay? The ratios and all that are something that you don't necessarily need to worry about right now. But your branched chain amino acids are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, okay? And those are the ones that you need. Now, why you need these is because your liver, your hepatic system can't take these up. And these are going to go straight to muscle. So you're going to keep your muscles fed. And that's why I usually want my clients to take this 1 to 2, maybe even 3 times a day, is we're going to keep those muscles fed, especially if we're depleting them, right? If we're actually pulling back carbohydrates or anything like that. So we keep the muscles fed, they can stay in the anabolic state where they're in a state of growth, and they're not going to lose muscle, right? They're not going to basically go to the gym and just burn themselves out. I actually take this during workout. So I'll actually drink this during the workout too, so I'm keeping my muscles fed during the workout also, okay? Just a side thing to note, when I'm looking at this though, so they're letting me know everything that's in this, but they also have other ingredients, and this is where you're going to have a problem finding anything that's not like this, what I'm about to say, or they actually don't taste very good, right? You're going to end up trying to make your own just because it's going to be garbage product. I'm constantly trying to find new things and testing them out just to see, so I can see what will line up, and a lot of times I'll order something and it just doesn't taste good. So I know if it doesn't taste good for me, certainly my clients aren't going to take it. But for this, right off the bat, natural and artificial flavors and sucralose, right? So they're putting things in here where they're transparent with everything else, and they get in there and it says natural and artificial flavors, and then sucralose, which is Splenda, right? Jim actually has a blog thing that he did on the effects of sucralose, because I know some people freak out if they're taking sucralose, just because it is, I think it's 400 to 600 times sweeter than sugar, and your body just bypasses it. I would prefer stevia because it's natural and it's not synthetic, but the ones that I've had with stevia taste awful. Either they're not putting enough, or they're putting some other type of ingredient that's making it taste like aspirin. So that's another thing just to be mindful of, is the other things that are going to be in here, because if that's a concern for you, you're most likely not going to be taking this stuff. If that is the case, they have pills that you can take, right? So they have branched chain amino acid pills that you could just take those instead. you don't even have to do the drink. You just take those right before you go do your workout, and it'll slowly seep out, and you'll be fine there. Okay. But Regen, branched chain amino acids, like I said, we're going to keep those muscles fed, and it's not going to other things like your liver, which essentially gets first pass on everything. After that, though, I might do a smoothie. Okay, so done post gym. It's within that 30-minute window, right? You have 30 minutes to get some food in, otherwise your body just continues that muscle breakdown process. I usually use my NutriBullet, which I have back here. At that point, I'm going to do some type of protein source. Whey comes from cows, right? You have rice, amaranth, quinoa, pea. A lot of times you'll see those mixed together. V-Pro is what they have up at Sky Fitness. We talk about that in the podcast, which is a decent choice because you want those different types of proteins in there, right? I don't always want to just stick with whey or always just stick with rice. Each protein has a different amino acid profile, right? The amino acids are the building blocks of those proteins, which are really what you're after. So those all have different amino acid profiles, different burn times, stuff like that. So with whey, I mean, it increases the amino acid levels in your blood within 30 minutes. So super good, super fast. Rice protein is very, very similar, but it's also hypoallergenic, meaning it's not going to cause any type of adverse reaction. Most people that have problems with dairy end up going to rice. But pea protein makes that smoother in texture because rice is very rough in texture. So a lot of times that ends up playing a role in it also. But I'm going to do some type of post-workout smoothie. Like I said, you got 30 minutes, right? We're going to do that post-workout smoothie. Don't go get muscle milk unless you absolutely have to, right? If you're at a gas station or something like that, try and plan ahead. Make your smoothie, take it to the gym if you need to. Usually they'll let you store it in their fridge, or they'll actually supply them themselves. And I would honestly rather you just go buy a good quality protein and just put it in your shaker and use that as opposed to going, like I said, that's kind of last of the line is I'm going to go grab a muscle milk or something like that. But what I'm going to do with that typically, so I have my protein source, whatever one you're going to choose. I usually recommend doing more than just one. So 1 to 2 different types of protein sources, right? Even if it means doing half servings, like a half serving of whey, half serving of rice, whatever. After that though, I'm usually going to do colostrum if I haven't taken this during the day, like first thing in the morning with just a spoonful, just eat it. Colostrum comes from cows. It's pre-milk, right? It's the first thing that a mother passes on to her child. It's postnatal nutrition. So outside of the womb now, you need all of these growth factors to stimulate your body to grow and all the nutrients, right? This has to have every single thing in it that baby needs. So all the known growth factors are in this right here. They call this a meta food. It just means it's meta nutrition. With this, ton of just different good things that are in it, but like I said, the big one is the growth factors. It also helps with your gut, make sure your gut's repairing itself, muscle tissue growth, and repair and all of that also. So I usually do this, I'm usually just doing 1 tablespoon of this, and then your greens. Like I said, big one that's important is greens. Vitamin greens from Health Force is what I use, okay? This has one of the higher amounts of spirulina and chlorella. Spirulina is the most protein-dense food that we know of on Earth, but it's algae-based, so most people have a problem because honestly it just doesn't taste very good. So we're trying to mask that taste by putting it in a smoothie. But has a ton of different stuff in here. I'll do a separate video review of this at some point that'll cover all of that. If I'm not doing this, the NutriBullet has a superfood greens deal that I'll do. I did a video explaining what I do for breakfast in the morning. I actually put this with my Greek yogurt, and this has 5 grams. It has spirulina, wheatgrass, alfalfa grass, chlorella in this as well. So I'm getting that mixture of all those greens. This one doesn't taste nearly as bad as the Health Force does. Not as many things in it though. So typically I'll add the greens in there, and then chia seeds, right? I need the omega fatty acids, the omega-3 fatty acids, which are going to help with inflammation. Your body's in an inflamed state because you've just broken down muscle. I'm usually doing 1 to 2 tablespoons of that. These 2 green deals are 1 tablespoon, also sometimes a half. If the shake is a little bit thinner, or if I know it's going to be a little bit thinner, I'm not going to throw the drink by putting so much of this in there that it just tastes awful. So I might back off that just a little bit. For me personally too, I do maca, which is a root. It's similar to ginseng, but it's androgenic. Okay, so it's for testosterone levels. This is more for males that are wanting to increase testosterone, or females that are having problems just with their sex hormones. It'll affect your libido, though, is usually something that I warn people about. So if you're needing to increase libido, it's going to help, but it's also going to give you energy. And that's the big thing that I'm doing it for. I feel the energy difference if I'm taking the maca, and that's usually 1 tablespoon. You want to usually maybe half a tablespoon. You're going to ease into it, though, because if you put too much of that, same thing, it doesn't taste very good. It's going to throw your drink. We put small amounts of this at first until you figure it out. You can also put almond butter, cashew butter, anything like that if you're needing the extra calories. We don't want to do too much, though, because we're not trying to do a huge influx of calories, right? We want to get those amino acids in there. But that stuff's sweet enough. Typically with your whey protein, your rice protein, it usually has a little bit of sugar, but you're getting a ton of fiber with it too, which is going to slow down the release of that insulin. Okay, so fiber is going to slow down the release of that insulin, so that's going to help a little bit with that. As far as brands, it's a little bit harder just because there are so many different brands out there. Usually you're looking for, like I said, whether or not they have a proprietary blend. Usually if I see that, I for the most part will almost immediately dismiss it unless I looked further into the company. So I want some type of transparency, and then you can't always find whether or not where they're sourcing it from. That's a little bit harder. But there are some grass-fed whey companies out there. Jim has a blog on that explaining that just because they're going to extract the protein and the amino acids out of essentially they do it out of cheese, they're going to do that. So whether they're grass-fed or not doesn't actually matter to the amino acid profile. The farming practice is important to me, though, too, so I still buy the grass-fed whey. I think it's Warrior is another good one, which has rice protein. There's a handful of good brands over at Whole Foods. I actually do their brand on occasion. But other than that, I'm really sticking with Jim supplement line. I'm doing the Health Force. They have a lot of different good stuff. Surthrival and Regen, and then the NutriBullet supplement line also, just because I use their NutriBullet and I love it. So and they have some good stuff in here also. So these are the big ones that I'm doing. So just make sure no proprietary blends. If you have that option to actually do a whole food meal, just make sure you're getting, like I said, the protein, the greens, a little bit of carbohydrates in there. Look at the other ingredients, because they're going to have them listed at the bottom. If that's a laundry list and there's like just a ton of preservatives in this, find something else. And then just make sure you're getting, like I said, that full plethora of nutrients. Greens are going to be one of the most important, but most people know that. And just make sure you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, a lot of stuff that I've told you here just isn't going to cut it, because you're just going to dismiss it, you're going to forget it, it's just not going to work for you. So have some type of plan. I usually have this in my car at all time, as in my Regen also, so I know I can reach for these too. And then I usually have some type of protein source, like a grass-fed whey powder or something like that I can reach for if I need to. Usually, though, I can get from the gym that I'm training at, I can either grab like a protein, and I have them do exactly what I've told you guys, because they have some of that stuff there, so I'll have them make a special one for me. And don't be afraid to ask in those instances either. So if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please just do that below. Thank you guys for watching.